My Story by Roz Dean. In 2018, me and my partner, we decided to go on an adventure and we were travelling by plane, something I'd avoided for 17 years due to being terrified of flying. We just booked a flight to Prague and a flight home from Budapest in Hungary, and the rest was up to us. A week before we were due to go on our first backpacking trip, I had an accident and my leg was bent in a weird angle. I had to use a walking stick, but I decided I'm still gonna go. So when we got on the plane, I was really excited and scared. The flight took 2 hours, and as you can see, I was pretty terrified. When we arrived in Prague in the Czech Republic, it was minus 14 degrees. It was absolutely freezing, and I had to wear many layers to wrap up warm. We went for a walk around and noticed that the whole river was frozen. But the pubs were warm, and we stayed 3 nights in Prague. The next day we travelled by train. The trains are so cool, they're so fast, clean and cheap. We travelled to Vienna in Austria, and it took just under 4 hours and only cost £15. It was also happy hour on the train, so that was pretty good too. When we arrived in Vienna, it was snowing. When we got to our room, there was a creepy doll and it watched us sleep. We used the trams and the trains to get around the city, which was really useful as I was very slow moving on the ice. We had a day out visiting the Prater theme park. It's open 24 hours a day, all year long, and it was quite creepy to see the site so empty and covered in snow. We saw the big wheel from the 1987 James Bond movie, The Living Daylights. There was a massive ice ring in Vienna and I really wanted to see it. I'd seen it on the TV and we managed to find it, but I was a bit sad because I couldn't skate because of my sore leg. Everyone looked like they were having loads of fun speeding around. So we got back on the train and we headed to Slovakia, and the journey was only £10 and the trains were lovely and warm. That afternoon we arrived in our hostel, which had a really cool bottle theme and had a drink in their horror themed bar. Bratislava, which is the capital of Slovakia, is a really cool city and we enjoyed exploring it. Also, the weather was a reasonable 0 degrees. Slovakia has its own UFO, and we got to go inside it. There was a mini UFO on the top of the UFO, and some grumpy people too. We then travelled to Budapest in Hungary. We spent our last few days of our travels there. I met the famous TV detective Columbo with his dog. Well, a statue of them anyway. The weather was an agreeable 7 degrees. It was hard backpacking with a sore leg, but I'm glad I did it. I faced my fears and stepped onto an aeroplane. I did it, and I'm so happy that I got to go on this trip and see some of the world. Never let your fears hold you back. Who knows what you might miss out on?